What's up, yo?
What's up? Been a minute, not bald yet.
That shit is hella crooked. Let me get you right. Let me get it right. So, let me check it in the back. Okay.
Yo, I looked back at my videos this afternoon and I had an idea, so I'm gonna implement the idea. It's called Chapters Out of Context, where I just read for a small amount of time. I'm stealing this from Kai Sinet, who posted about it, and I kind of briefly thought about doing a book-based YouTube in the past, just because I think it would be a cool way for people who like to listen to books or just get a synopsis on the book to decide if they like it. Who knows? But I don't read that much, so it doesn't work. This is me about to try to read more. This is about and work on pronouncing better, formulating words and reading better on film. And the book I think we're gonna pick is I gotta pick the easiest book, and I'm gonna pick a really easy book. I'm gonna set a timer on my computer for something like super easy, like 2 minutes. Initially I wanted to read a whole chapter out of context, and then people could work together to complete entire dictations of books that are voiced by different people who are like feeling different ways at different parts of the book. I think it would be weird and cool to interpret from my point of view as a bunch of other people. Like, because I listened to an audiobook made by, I think it was a dad to his kids, and it was cool. It was a cool listen. I liked it a lot. It was a book I was already familiar with. It was a quick one. We might get that one. Wait, I can do what I want here. We can read out of the almanac, but the almanac doesn't really have deep reads in it. We have some trading books I think are too. All right, bro. This is what we're doing. Of Mice and Men, I read a few pages of it already. Just 'cause I think it's a staple. I think I know the story already pretty well, but I've never actually read it. I don't remember reading it, at least. Someone told me it was a hard book, and the first time I saw it, I was like, bro, you can't tell me this is a hard book. You're like hard to take in. You should have told me that. Whatever. All right, we're doing 2 minutes. The reading level seems to be pretty easy, but I don't know if I can read right now. We're gonna do 2 minutes. Well, 5 minutes is on here. We'll do 5. We'll do 5 minutes. We'll start from the top, and timer's already running. This is about the author, John Steinbeck. We can learn about the author, but I think we're just gonna dive right into it. He's from Salinas, California. Salinas. John Steinbeck. All right, ready? A few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops in. Wait, is this? Hold on, let me confirm. This is the beginning of the book. A few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops in close to the hillside bank and runs deep and green. The water is warm too, for it has slipped twinkling over the yellow sands in the sunlight before reaching the narrow pool. Bro, is this book too much, or I'm gonna have to narrate some shit? I'm at 4 minutes. We're getting through it. But I actually shouldn't interrupt it, man. I'm gonna start from the top. Excuse me. I dare myself. A few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops in close to the hillside bank and runs deep and green. The water is warm too, for it slipped twinkling over the yellow sands of the sunlight before reaching the narrow pool. One side of the river, I'm also a little stoned. This is not for children. Dude, I have to do this. All right, I've got 3 minutes on the counter. I'm debating this book, bro. I'm gonna run out of breath, for real. Do I need to refilm this whole video, dude? A few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops in close to the hillside bank and runs deep and green. The water is warm too, for it has slipped twinkling over the yellow sands in the sunlight before reaching the narrow pool. On one side of the river, the golden foothill slopes curve up to the strong and rocky Gilbland Mountains, but on the valley side, the water is lined with trees. willows fresh and green, with every spring carrying their lower leaf junctures, the debris of the winter's flooding, and sycamores with mottled white recumbent limbs and branches that arch over the pool. On the sandy bank under the trees, the leaves lie deep and so crisp that a lizard makes a great skittering if he runs amongst them. Rabbits come out of the bush to sit on the sand in the evening, and the damp flats are covered with night tracks of coons, with the spread pads of dogs from the ranches, and the will-split tracks of deer that come to drink in the dark. There's a path through the willow and down the sycamores, a path beaten by hard boys coming down from the ranches to swim in the pool, and the beaten hard by tramps who come wearily down from the highway in the evening to jungle up near water. In front of the low horizontal limb of a giant sycamore, there is an ash pile made by many fires. The limb is worn smooth by men who have sat on it. Evening of a hot day started like the little wind moving among the leaves. The shade climbed up the hills toward the top. On the sandbanks, the rabbits sat down quietly as little gray sculptured stones. And then from the direction of the state highway came the sound of footsteps on crisp sycamore leaves. The rabbits hurried noiselessly for cover. A stilted heron labored up into the air and pondered downriver. For a moment, the place was lifeless, and then two men emerged from the path, and had come onto opening by the green pool. They had walked in single file down the path, and even in the open one stayed behind the other. Both were dressed in denim trousers and in denim coats with brass buttons. Both wore black, shapeless hats, and both carried tight blanket rolls slung over their shoulders. The first man was small and quick, dark of face, with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Every part of him was defined: small, strong hands, slender arms, and a thin, bony nose. Behind him walked his opposite, a huge man, shapeless of face, with large, pale eyes, with wide, sloping shoulders. He walked heavily, dragging his feet a little, the way a bear drags his paws. His arm did not swing at his sides, but hung loosely. The man stopped short in the clearing, and the follower nearly ran over him. He took off his hat and wiped the sweatband with his forefinger and snapped the moisture off. His huge companion dropped his blankets and flung himself down and drank from the surface of the green pool. Drank with long gulps, snorting into the water like a horse. The small man stepped nervously behind him. Okay, I kept getting distracted. I also know that this book mentions, I remembered that this book mentions a bad word that we're just going to skip. And also that, yeah, I'm not impressed. Thank you. I'm posting this fucking video. Ciao.